Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again, here with another wrestling review. This time it's New Japan Pro Wrestling (NJPW) New Japan Road from June 18th, 2022. And this is one of the minor shows. There was no English commentary live anyway. They said there should be English commentary eventually, and these are some of the um, I'm not gonna quite say house shows because there is storylines that go through on these minor shows, these road to shows, if you want to call them that, or some stuff along those lines. These particular shows tonight were leading up to a couple of big title defenses in the main events of Monday and Tuesday, which are also minor shows. So a lot going on here as far as storylines and stuff. We'll get into all of them. I was able to copy and paste from the website. New Japan puts out some great intros to each match and like why it's important. So there's no way I could have put it any better. So I will be reading those. A couple of them are kind of corny, you'll see, especially the second one. But we can get a good laugh out of that one. But they do explain it, all the stories tonight pretty well. So if you did if you didn't see, New Japan just had their second biggest show pretty much of the year. That was just last weekend. So we're only 6 days removed from the second biggest show of the year. We did see a new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion crowned in Jay White, Switchblade Jay White, defeating Okada, dominated that whole match. A ton of story was told throughout that match, basically coming out of that where Jay White thinks he should deserve the adulation from the fans and all that, and he thinks he's the catalyst and the best thing going. Whereas Okada, maybe there's some doubt seeping in his mind, as in, does the crowd even like me anymore, and am I starting to reach past my prime into a decline of my abilities? So that's the story here, and we're also only a few weeks away from G1, and I think on Monday they'll let us know what the G1 blocks are. So come back here for the review on that one. But for Monday's show, it will be free for everybody. So if you go on njpwworld.com, you can sign up and see that for free without any money, just to test out if you like the product. So these shows, like I said, are some of the minor shows. That one again on Monday will not have live commentary in English, only the Japanese commentary. But a lot of what happens is just in the ring, so you don't miss out on too much. And you can always go back later when they do have English commentary, which I might do at points just to see, especially what people said. So the big story coming into tonight is that we are in Takahashi's hometown of Hayachi, Haichioji, I think is how it's pronounced. Apologies. And that is Hiromu's hometown. So he's going to have a main event match tonight. He's also just won his third straight Best of the Super Junior tournament only about 3 weeks ago. So by winning that, he gets a title shot at the junior heavyweight championship, which is currently held by um, Ishimori of Bullet Club. So that's going to be one of our main event matches, the Tuesday main event. On Monday, the main event will be the junior heavyweight. The junior heavyweight tag titles. So the juniors coming out of the Best of Super Juniors had a lot of stories going on, since they all fought each other, or at least half of them did. So that's what we'll be going through tonight, and we've got 7 matches in total. The show for me started at 5 a.m. Eastern Time Saturday morning. For Japan local time, it was 6 p.m. Saturday night, and pretty good video package running down the entire card to start the show. A lot of images of AEW and the All Atlantic title. That's another thing that's happening tonight. Is we're Those matches aren't tonight, but all of tonight is about setting up matches in the future. So in separate in separate matches, we'll see the 4 competitors in the little mini tournament, the eliminator or the qualifiers, if you will, for the New Japan representative in the All Atlantic 4-way at Forbidden Door. So we're only I think 8 days now away from Forbidden Door, the cross promoted AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling show. It will be in Chicago, Illinois. The main event was supposed to be hometown hero and newly crowned AEW champion CM Punk versus Ace of New Japan, um, Tanahashi. and that match was put on hold when CM Punk had to go get surgery. So now it will be John Moxley versus Tanahashi for the interim AEW World Title. So another big match to look forward to there. The match everyone wants was slightly teased on Rampage last night, or at least teased in the fact that they brought his name up. So Zack Sabre Jr. was mentioned, and it was while William Regal was on commentary, and they were talking about how Zack Sabre Jr. after his match at Dominion last weekend, called out Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. My apologies. So, um, for me personally, as long as Forbidden Door has Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr., the rest of the card doesn't even matter to me as long as I get that match. So we've got 8 more days to get that match put together. Hopefully, it can be. And let's get into tonight's card here, or today's card. It just literally finished before I got on the air here. And again, we're in Haichioji, the hometown of Hiromu Takahashi, who's going to be in the main event and is the number one contender for the junior heavyweight. So if you guys don't know, there's basically two weight divisions in New Japan. There's the heavyweights and the junior heavyweights. A lot of times there's not a huge amount of difference. You can graduate from the junior heavyweight to the heavyweight without really having to put much muscle on. But if you're like a huge guy like Lance Archer, like there's no way you're going to be a junior. So it kind of works like that, but you can be promoted out of it. Like a Will Ospreay has been promoted out of the junior division to the heavyweights, and there's been many others along the way. I like Kenny Omega. All right, let's get into this. Like I said, I wrote down or I copy and paste the little blurbits they had on the New Japan website for each match tonight, and they put it better than I ever could. So there's no reason for me to try and come up with different words. I'm just going to read you for each match what they said. We're going to start to well. One thing I should mention for all you new people, maybe a lot of AEW fans are looking to get into the product just to figure out what's going on for Forbidden Door. I touched on this in the Dominion a little bit on my review, but I'll touch on it here since we get a lot of young lions to start out the night like we do on most of these minor shows. So the young lions are like the rookies, the kids that are just starting out. They can be anywhere from the age of like 18 all the way to like 28. So um, it's not really about that. It's just about experience. Maybe like the 28-year-old was in MMA for his entire life before that point. So they bring them up from the dojo. Then eventually they get matches on these cards like this, and they might be in these matches for a year or two, maybe even 3. Get a bunch of matches under their belt where they'll never ever beat anybody unless it's against another young lion. So the only matches a young lion ever wins is except for very very rare occasions is against other young lions, and that's all part of like bringing them up and trying to get them experience and stuff like that. Once they get to a certain point about the 2 or 3 year mark, then they'll go out what they call excursions. So New Japan has partnerships throughout the entire world, including it used to be ROH and TNA back in the day, but they've also set up their own dojo in America for now. But they've got Rev Pro. If you saw Will Ospreay with the Rev Pro title on AEW, Rev Pro is the British partner. There's partners in Australia. I forget the name of their company, but then there's CMLL in Mexico and all these other places where they then send these young lions over there to those promotions for however long they want, and they'll maybe adopt some kind of new style or something. So they literally train all the young lions the exact same way at the very beginning. They just want them to learn the basics. The young lions only come out with black trunks. They all have the same music. They're forced to run to the ring and take it down the ring when it's over with, ice down the veterans when they have a match, stuff like that. So mm, once they come back from excursion, then they'll give them some kind of gimmick, and they no longer have to wear the plain black trunks. And all of their finishers as a young lion is the Boston Crab, and they all have pretty simple move sets. So good way to do some training. And then once you get everybody down with the basics, then they go out in the world, and this guy comes back with a little bit of Mexican style to him. This guy comes back with a little bit of British style to him, a little Australian style, American style, whatever, wherever they send them, and then they come back and fight in New Japan. That's a really cool way to do it. Unlike the NXT model, where if you they just bring people in and they train them all to fight the exact same. Everybody has the exact same stuff. They get up to the main roster. They all do the same boring stuff that WWE wants everybody to be like a clone of each other, of the absolute perfect ideal WWE way of doing things. Not to compare, sorry, to compare stuff like that, but just saying they have a really good stuff. So we're gonna start here with a Young Lion match. First, this is the blurb that they wrote. This is the first match of the evening. We'll see Kosai Fujita taking on Taka Michinoku. The young and impetuous but full of potential Fujita will be facing a veteran technical master in Michinoku in a valuable, if painful, education. So that basically tells you what's going on here. Yes, this is the same Taka Michinoku who was the first light heavyweight champion in WWF in the Attitude Era back in 1998, I believe. And just to give you an example here, Fujita's on the very young side, even amongst the other young lions. So Fujita is 19 years old and Taka Michinoku is 48 years old. So this is something that New Japan does as well. They'll keep a lot of their older guys around, a lot of the 40 to from like the ages of 40 to 50, you then become like the opposite of a young lion. You become like an old lion. They don't call it that, but you become a veteran and then you wrestle a lot with the young lions. You wrestle a lot in tag teams. You might be getting pinned sometimes, but a young lion's never going to beat you type of deal. So we did get a couple close calls in this one. So it even caught me at least once that Taka might have got beaten, but we'll get into this a little bit. I looked it up. Fujita has 76 matches in his career now through the last couple years. So he's been wrestling a lot in a 2 year span here for a 19-year-old. And Fujita has won 7 of those 76 matches. And like I said, I'm sure all 7 of those are against the other young lions that he might be in the match with. Sometimes they fight each other one on one. Sometimes they'll fight each other in a tag team and one will pin the other or whatever, or make them submit with the Boston Crab. Um, just to go back to another WWE comparison, Commander Aziz has been on the WWE roster for 7 years. He's had 20 matches. Fujita's been here for 2 years, has had 76. Just for another example. So the familiar Young Lion music hits, they always have the same music. Like Jay White used to come out to this same exact music when playing Black Trunks, although he did have a faux hawk, like a fake mohawk kind of deal going. Um, so even back then, Jay White had a little bit of flair to him, even as a young lion. So that was another part of the story over the Dominion weekend. Just to go back real quick, Jay White was talking about how the crowd really loved him as a young lion, and when he left to go on his excursion, he told the whole crowd like, "You guys are my family" and stuff. And now he doesn't understand why they don't all love him, but really that's because he's like a cheating heel. Like he cheated. He did not beat Okada clean, even though he dominated the match. There was not clean. Anyway, going back to this match, Fujita looks decent out there. I can see why he seems to definitely be the blue chip prospect since he's so young, and definitely has the frame. He's like 5'8", 187 right now. Has a good size on him, but I definitely see him being more of a junior heavyweight. So maybe he'll get sent over to Mexico. I can like a lot of the junior heavyweights will go to Mexico but for the lucha libre style if they're pretty sure that guy's not going to be a heavyweight. And having a look at the other young lions, he's definitely on the smaller side. Fujita is so, but again, he's only 19, so maybe still room to grow on his frame. Decent crowd for this small arena. So and most of them are wearing some kind of Hiromu Takahashi merch or holding up his banners and stuff. So we got a good pace to this match, but Taka Michinoku's outsmarting the young lion at pretty much every point. Taka's teaching Fujita a lesson for sure. Some good selling from Fujita on this match. Taka works the head and neck. He gets close to submission after 3 different holds. Taka puts on the head and neck area of Fujita, but Fujita doesn't give up. Fujita then fires up with some forearms, but Taka immediately counters it. So Taka Michinoku is not having any of that. But then right after that, Fujita gains control. Uh, um, a couple nice drop kicks, a Boston Crab, of course. That's like the main move of the young lions. So Fujita gets Taka in the Boston Crab, but of course Taka can get out of it. Big pump kick by Taka, but Fujita just keeps kicking out of anything or refuses to submit. We get a roll up for a close call by Fujita, and then right after that, we get a nasty belly to belly suplex where I thought it was over. 2.9, almost a three. Fujita gets almost gets the win on Taka, but Taka then counters it and at first has a really poorly executed bulldog choke, but then locks it in nicely and gets the submission win. Taka Michinoku here with another win. So um, I was definitely thinking at this point, I wonder how much longer until Fujita goes on excursion, and I bet it'll be in CMLL. So look out for that in the future. So going into our second match, I'll read what they wrote again. They wrote, this is the one that was a little silly. So NJPW's thoughts on this second match coming up is what could easily be the setup to a joke sees a Kokeshi, a tiger, a wild rhino, and a young lion walk into a wrestling ring for the second match of the evening. A little cheesy there, but I'll give it to him. The results will be hard hitting, though, as the strength and power of Clark Connors and Nakashima, who's the young lion, should be more than enough to test Hanma and Tiger Mask. So, this is one of the two matches that's setting up the little four-person tournament to see who gets to go to the All Atlantic four-way. So, those matches will be, I think, on Monday. I wrote it down later, so I'll let you know for sure. But in one of the two semifinals, it'll be Clark Connors, who is American. He was brought in through the New Japan Dojo in Los Angeles and was heavily featured on their show, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, which I also reviewed last week, and I'll be back later today. They have a weekly Saturday television show that it's taped here in Los Angeles, or at least here as in America. I'm in Detroit, so I'm far away from Los Angeles. But anyway, so it's going to be Connors versus Hanma in one of those two semifinals, and I'll talk about the other semifinal in the next match. But anyway, Young Lion Yoto Nakashima runs out, and then Clark Connors follows behind. So Connors and Nakashima here. Connors, we saw him in the Best of the Super Juniors, had a pretty decent showing for him. He's kind of got like a cowboy gimmick, has a little bit of a look like he could be the younger brother of either Hangman Page or Matthew McConaughey, or like all three of them could be brothers, really. So that kind of guy. He's from USA. He's the only American representative in the qualifiers for the All Atlantic titles. So there was no AEW representative that was from America, but over in New Japan, one of the four is an American, which I thought is pretty interesting. Clark Connors is out, like I said. Hanma out to a pretty good reaction. I don't know if it was for him or Tiger Mask, who's a legend. It's not the original Tiger Mask, but it's the Tiger Mask that's been Tiger Mask the longest now. So Hanma's definitely tanner than Hulk Hogan out there, or Tim Storm for any of you NWA fans. Hanma's got his tan on point. Clark Connors, like I said, had a decent showing in the Best of the Super Juniors. And really, Clark Connors isn't much smaller than Hanma, so that should be a good one-on-one match in a couple days. Hanma's a heavyweight, and Clark Connors was just in the Best of the Super Juniors, but not much of a. Hanma's just only a little bit bigger. So Connors is running circles around Hanma athletically, so um, much fitter is Connors over the older and bigger Hanma. Tiger Mask and Nakashima get in now. Good pace to the match when they're fighting. So Hanma was definitely bringing down the pace of this match. Um, I looked up Nakashima's stats. He's 25. He's had 48 matches. So um, been in NJPW as long as the last um, young lion we were talking about, Fujita, but maybe there was an injury or something, and Nakashima has not had as many matches. So he's 25, so 6 years older than Fujita as well. And he's had 48 matches, only won three of them. So he looks to be definitely Nakashima's more of a heavyweight than Fujita. But from this match, definitely shows promise. And it said he had an MMA background on the cage match website. So Hanma eventually gets the better of Clark Connors, out muscles him and stuff. But Connors is showing plenty of heart and fight in this. They trade forearms, the two of them, but then a headbutt by Hanma. Um, seemingly gets the upper hand, but then we get in a pounce from Clark. So pretty cool stuff here. Nakashima now gets in. He's all fired up. He gets three big yes kicks, like the Daniel Bryan kicks, and gets a 2.5. So Nakashima's showing some good stuff. Tiger Mask runs in now and yells at Hanma to get up. So Tiger Mask was getting irritated that Hanma was getting beat up by a young lion. That was pretty funny. We get a diving headbutt spear by Hanma to Nakashima. And Tiger Mask then goes outside to get Clark while Hanma goes up to the ropes. We get a diving Kokeshi headbutt, and um, that's the 1, 2, 3 for the win. Hanma beats the young lion, and then Clark Connors, then who had gotten distracted by Tiger Mask, gets in Hanma's face, but Hanma basically tells, like, pats his chest and tells him to chill, relax, bro. So those two will meet in 2 days. So that'll be on Monday. I think I'm not quite sure if their semifinals and finals are on the same night or if it's on Tuesday as the finals. I can't remember. But on Tuesday is definitely the two semifinals. So the next match we see is the other match that featured the second semifinal for the All Atlantic qualifiers. And what New Japan wrote on their website for this one is before Tomohiro Ishii and Yoshinobu Kanemaru collide one-on-one for the first time ever on June 20th in the AEW All Atlantic Championship qualifier. Tag action sees Minoru Suzuki return the Japanese rings, while Ishii recruits Young Lion Ryohei Oe- Oi Oiwa Oiwa. That's, I don't know how to say that. As Ishii and Suzuki get reacquainted after their own clash in Chicago at Windy City Riot, Owa, I'm just gonna call him Oiwa, will be getting a fast education in a chaotic environment tonight. So, a third straight Young Lion match, which we all know means every time you see a Young Lion match, like in a match like this, you know he's gonna be the one that gets pinned. So, a lot of times with these all these tag matches on the minor shows, it's not really about who gets the win, especially if there's a Young Lion in it. It's just about the journey, watching the match, seeing if the Young Lion's improving, and B, getting to see a setup of a match in the future where the guys get in the ring for a couple of minutes, but you don't get a full one-on-one match. It's just a little preview to the whet your appetite kind of deal. So that's how New Japan does their booking. Anyway, Owa is 23 and same amount of matches as Fujita, almost exactly, and has only won 4 of those, unlike Fujita winning 7. So, um, two of the prize pupils here, two of the big time young lions, um, in action tonight. Kanemaru and Ishii start the fight out. So these are the two that are going to meet Monday. And then the winner of that match fights the winner of Clark Connors and Hanma, who we saw in the previous match. Um, after they get, like I said, it's just a little preview to whet your appetite. So now Suzuki and Owa are in, and Suzuki tells the young lion to get a couple shots in. Like, he lets him hit him. Suzuki does, but then it's only one shot that takes on Owa. Owa gets up, fires up, but then a headbutt by Suzuki. So now all 4 are brawling on the outside. We get multiple barricade shots. The Suzuki special, basically, much slower than the previous match. And Suzuki's now stretching the young lion. Stu Hart would just love Minoru Suzuki. I write down here. And Kanemaru gets plenty of offense on Ishii, so Kanemaru getting to show his stuff. Another junior heavyweight against a heavyweight here. Kanemaru, the junior, to Ishii's heavyweight. Even though I think Kanemaru might have like an inch or two on Ishii, but Ishii is very stocky and has way more strength advantage. But the reach advantage does go to Kanemaru in that match that we'll see on Monday. Anyway, the young lion fires up on Suzuki, starts flinging him around with some big suplexes, and a Boston Crab is applied. But and then he counters. Minoru Suzuki gets his sleeper hold finisher on, but the young lion's able to counter it. Owa was. But then Suzuki gets an armbar on instead, and Owa somehow gets to the rope. I thought it was over on that one. We get a nasty one-legged Boston Crab by Suzuki now, and Owa's just getting stretched the hell in this match. Um, Oiwa fights as best he can, but he has to tap on that nasty one-legged Boston Crab. So Kanemaru then continues to beat up Ishii after the match. He uses a chair multiple times on the knee of Ishii. So we now know the story going into Monday's semifinal of the qualifiers will be all about Ishii's knee and how Kanemaru can try to exploit that and maybe use cheating tactics to spring the upset. Everybody assumes, almost everybody in the world assumes Ishii is going to be the one to get out of this qualifier and go to Forbidden Door in the four-way for the All Atlantic title. But um, they're setting up a good story here to at least make you think that Connemara might have a chance. So that'll be interesting to watch, and I'm sure it will be Ishii, but you never know. And as Suzuki's walking to the back, he knocks out the young lion with a stiff forearm for good measure on his way out, which is always hilarious when Suzuki's doing things like that. So Ishii noticeably limping as on his way to the back as we get ready for the fourth match. And what New Japan wrote for this match is unsung quote unquote heroes of Bullet Club's success at Dominion. Dick Togo and Gato were both instrumental in the successes for House of Torture in the Never Openweight tag six-man tag title match and Jay White's IWGP World Heavyweight title match, respectively. So Bullet Club with a lot of their cheating. Dick Togo helped House of Torture retain six-man tag. Gato helped Jay White win the World Heavyweight title from Okada. So tonight in Haichioji, a chance for both to contribute directly, or if Chaos get their way, a chance for revenge on behalf of Okada and the wrestling world at large. New Japan being overly dramatic there. We get Goto's music hitting. All of Chaos now comes out. Well, not all of them, but the four in this match. It's Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, and Goto. Now we get House of Terror, who's also House of Terror, my bad, who's also part of Bullet Club. There seems to be maybe a schism or a little bit of separation between House of Terror's version of Bullet Club and then the rest of Bullet Club that now has like the Good Brothers back and Jay White back. So it'll be interesting to see how those two um, different factions of Bullet Club get along going forward. But I'm assuming at this point Jay White sees no reason to get rid of them. Um, so he'll use House of Torture to help him when he needs to, but I'm assuming Jay White's not going to use much resources to go help out House of Terror's endeavors. So as long as they're not using any of Jay White's resources and his side of Bullet Club, I'm sure they have no problem with the help that House of Terror can help them with at point. So we get a big 8-man match here. House of Terror is going to be Dick Togo, Gato, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil, and we've got the 6-man title belts are also out here. Oh wait, no, maybe that was later. But anyway, yeah, that was later. Sorry. 8-man brawl to start this match out, and Chaos win the exchange at the very beginning. Once the match, right when the match finally gets going for real, Evil does an eye rake, so you know what kind of match you're getting here with the House of Terror. With all the or House of Torture. I don't know why I keep writing Terror. But anyway, more heel tactics from the House of Torture. Shockingly, I know, right? Goto finally fights free from all four to get to Yano hot tag. Yano takes off the pads and tries to fight fire with fire, heel tactics versus heel tactics. But eventually, House of Torture get back in control. Now there's brass knuckles. Gato gets those, but Yo dodges super kick, and Yodo pins Gato. So kind of a sudden ending there. I like the fact that Yo got the pin. Yo's got the highest ceiling out of the four Chaos members here, and so perfect call on that one. Yo Yoshihashi and Goto then hold up the six-man tag titles, the never open weight six-man titles, and then give them back the House of Torture. So that's a potential match where we could see Chaos versus House of Torture soon for the six-man titles, maybe even as soon as like Tuesday or some of the shows just before G1 starts. So maybe a title change to Chaos before G1 starts. We'll have to wait and see. Yo's making the motion around his waist that he wants the title, and I did see Chris online, who usually does the color commentary for the English commentary, was tweeting that if Chaos get that title shot early July, we could see them in their home turf at Hurricane. So where they would be tough to beat. So here we got a little short intermission. No news, no G1 blocks announced or anything. I think that'll be on Monday that we get that G1 block announced. So quick intermission here. We got 3 matches left. What New Japan wrote down here for the next match is the last televised preview of Monday's IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship main event will see United Empire's TJP and Francesco Akira again combined with Aaron Hanare to face 6 or 9, who are the champions, and Jado. And 6 or 9 is Funky Weapon, Taguchi, and Master Wato. So anyway, they will face 6 or 9 in Jado. At Dominion, United Empire's guest boxing coach Jesse Vargas seemed to improve Hanare's already impressive striking game even more, which I was talking about in the Dominion review. I was talking about, wow, it looks like Hanare is going to get even more impressive with his striking now. And with this whole bringing Jesse Vargas, this former boxer, in the coach him, I could definitely see a big push coming for Aaron Hanare and maybe even a deep run in the G1. Now, I did mention I thought G1, it looked like on the little graphic they had, was going to be, 3 blocks, but it looks like it'll be 4 blocks, which brings back the semifinals. So the winners of the 4 blocks of G1, there's 28 people total, broken down into 4 different groups. The winners of those groups will then be in the semifinals, and I would not be shocked. I would not be batting an eye or out of like. I would not be shocked if Aaron Hanare is in those semifinals. So look for him to have a good run in G1. So anyway, going back to what they wrote, like I said, Jesse Vargas seemed to improve Hanare's already impressive striking game even more before the Ultima variant on the full Nelson submitted Tenzan. Fired up by a confirmed spot in this year's G1 Climax, Hanare will look to claim another victim on the Hantai side. But the junior heavyweights won't want to give up their spotlight either. So big match here. Like we were saying, a preview of Monday, which is the next time will be on. They'll be on television or on their NJPW World stream, I should have said. And the main event of that card will be the junior heavyweight tag titles. So the competitors of that are here, and as well as Hanare looking to um, get some more momentum going in the G1. So Empire United Empire are out now. Hanare definitely looks a little out of place compared to TJP and Akira. Like Hanare looks like he would never hang out with those two guys in real life. But Jado then leads out 6-9. That's Master Wato and Funky Weapon Taguchi. And the 3 faces that just came out, 6-9, and Jado tried to pose, but United Empire attacks them from behind. So if you didn't know, United Empire are heels. So they want a little thing to let you know here. Master Wato can't gain an advantage thanks to more heel tactics and from TJP, I believe. And once Hanare gets in the match, then the match gets in the second gear. So Hanare's looking good. Excellent striking as usual, the kicks and the punches. And Wato's getting in trouble here, but he gets tag over to Taguchi. So I, a lot of people are a little bored with Taguchi's antics and stuff, and he does a lot of the comedy wrestling, but it's a lot of the same things and a one-note act with the Funky Weapon nickname. And the Funky Weapon is his butt, and he does a lot of butt attacks. But the one thing I never gets old to me is when Taguchi does his Shinsuke Nakamura tribute in the corner, like the pose and the Kinshasa, or the Boombaye, I should say. And that makes me laugh every time. So triple team on Hanare next, but he gets helped by the rest of United Empire, and then we get Hanare chokes out Jado for the win. So um, big win for Hanare yet again. I mean, Jado's not a huge win, but you know what I mean. He looks to have a lot of momentum going in the G1, and like I said, I would not be surprised if he wins one of the four blocks. They might have to stack the blocks and make that one look a little weak, but still. Um, And then, of course, Monday we get the tag title, junior heavyweight titles. So, good shouting match between the competitors, TJP, Akira, and Wado and Taguchi, all with a pretty good shouting match after the match. So, we go to our semi-main event, or the second to last match of the night, and what they wrote here was June 12th, which was the night of Dominion, the card that happened last weekend. It says June 12th was a night that Kazuchika Okada would rather forget. After a sudden Blade Runner from Jay White, Okada's reign as IWGP World Heavyweight Champion was brought to an end after 5 months and four defenses. Now the Rainmaker heads in the G1 Climax 32 without the World Heavyweight title around his waist, a fact that Tetsuya Naito will no doubt be keen to point out in this match. Also without gold is Sonata, who was defeated by Will Ospreay and Osaka Joe Hall, same card that happened last week in Dominion, not leaving as IWGP United States champion. Both Sonata and Okada will look to bounce back tonight in a bid to set themselves up for the tournament of tournaments. Meanwhile, Shingo Takagi, having retained against Taichi at Dominion, will take the KOPW gold into the G1 and is eager to get a winning start to the last summer of his 30s. So they even bring up there that Shingo Takagi is almost on his way to becoming an old lion instead of one of the guys in his prime. So um, definitely Shingo Takagi would be one of my front runners to win G1. But in my opinion, the whole story about Okada and him maybe having the second guess if he's really past his prime or does the crowd still love me tells me that the answer to that is Okada's not past his prime yet, and Okada, in my opinion, will win the G1 and then fight Jay White at Wrestle Kingdom. So I'm assuming we'll get Jay White Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, and Okada will win this G1. But we'll see what happens. You never know. So this big match is gonna 6-man tag. Cold Skull Sonata's music hits. He's got a really cheap looking "I'm Back" T-shirt after his eye injury, where he was forced to vacate the IWGP United States title, which was his first ever singles title in IWGP singles title. I mean, then Shingo's music hits. The Rampage Dragon Shingo Takagi comes out, and then Naito's music hits. So all three get their own music. Um, and we'll see all five of Lij in the final two matches here. The other two in the main event. So Okada's music plays out all three. It's Tenzan and Sweets Makabe, and Naito does some like ole ole like with spots with a jacket and trying to get Tenzan to do the bull run through it. So second straight Naito match that starts with comedy. Last time he was trying to figure out how El Phantasmo's oh wait, no, how Ace Austin's like magical staff worked and how it extended. So second straight match where Naito's starting out with some comedy, and Naito continues to play around once the bell rings, which makes Tenzan mad. But then Naito just completely capitalizes on making him mad. So that was his game plan all along. Um, then Naito does the Mongolian chops to Tenzan, which is usually Tenzan but then gets the chops back to him from Tenzan. Now Makabe and Shingo square off, and but both quickly just tag out. So now we got Okada and Sonata. They seem to kind of highlight Okada and Sonata. Definitely thinking of that this G1 season is here, so I could definitely see Okada and Sonata being in the same G1 group. Okada gets the better of Sonata at this point, so then Shingo starts to get concerned. Naito then makes the save, but tries to make the save but failed. So Sonata's getting a little bit isolated here. Good storylines to have Okada team with Makabe. I know because Makabe, if just if you glance at him from a side and you're kind of far away, they look a little bit similar, Okada and Makabe. And Makabe is definitely past his prime. So going back to that whole story of is Okada past his prime here, teaming with two of the old lions or veterans or however you want to call them. But the whole story is Okada doesn't want to turn into Makabe yet. He doesn't want to be Makabe. He's still in his prime, uh, or at least that's might be self doubt creeping in. So we'll have to keep an eye on how where the story goes from there. And Naito's now in with Okada, but that doesn't last very long. So if you remember, those two fought that the previous defense that Okada had for the world title before losing at the Jay White was retaining it against Naito. And Shingo now chops the soul out of Makabe and really stiff shots. Triple team on Makabe, but Tenzan saves him. And this is definitely LIJ turf. They're 100% behind LIJ, this being Hiromu's hometown, and LIJ being Hiromu's faction. So um, Okada is not necessarily the one being cheered the most in this match for sure. Um, Okada appears out of nowhere, but Sonata now gets the better of Okada, and some stiff shots from Shingo to Makabe, but Makabe kicks out, and then we get a Made in Japan, which is Shingo's finisher, and Makabe gets beat for the 1-2-3. We get some more bull running shots to Tenzan after the match with Naito, but Tenzan isn't um, wanting to do that, but the referee will do it. So the referee does the bull spot for Naito. Maybe just wanted him to leave or something. But Sonata, Shingo, and Naito all put up their fists for the LIJ pose, but you can definitely tense there's a little more tension in the air than usual, and that's because G1 season is here, folks. All three of them have the same goal, and that's to win G1. Of course, all three of them could be in separate blocks, but all three of them could be in the same. You never know how they're going to do it. And then, of course, you might meet in the semis or the finals, even if you're not in the block. So we got our main event now. Here's the little paragraph they wrote. It says Hiromu Takahashi makes his long-awaited hometown appearance in the main event with the latest preview match for the following Tuesday's battle with Taiji Ishimori for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Ishimori draws from the staggeringly deep junior heavyweight lineup in Bullet Club, the team with Sho, as Hiromu pairs with regular junior tag partner Bushi. Takahashi will be eager to finish his homecoming event with his hand raised, especially 72 hours before his time in the Korakuen main event limelight. But will Ishimori break any and all expectations for Hiromu winning the title he's become synonymous with? So, again, Hiromu winning his third best of the Super Juniors in a row and fourth out of the last 5 years. And along with that, has had a lot of junior heavyweight title reigns. And as great as Hiromu is, I can definitely sense a lot of the New Japan Pro Wrestling fans are getting a little tired of like, oh, Hiromu wins again, huh? So, but Hiromu is great, so it's tough to say who's right, who's wrong, or how much they're right or how much they're wrong. Anyway, it's main event time. The crowd's super excited for it. Bushi comes out to his music first. He's got a cool glowing mask. Then Hiromu Takahashi's music plays to some big cheers. He comes out holding the best of the Super Juniors trophy that nobody else has been able to win in 4 years. And I just wrote down a little note here. I wonder who on the roster never gets a hometown match. Like, is it half the roster never gets hometown matches, or is there only like 10 people that don't get hometown matches? So it'd be interesting to know. Anyway, Hiromu has brought cookies, or maybe it's little cakes for the announcers. We also see that we get a special announcer for this match, and he's dressed up as a clown. and he looks like very meek and mild, and he gets yelled at Bullet Club a little bit during this match, and he's like all scared. So it's probably a local celebrity, maybe as a TV show or something like that. But there is a clown on the announce table, and that Hiromu then brought some desserts for. After a long drawn out so Hiromu makes the announcer Abe do a long drawn out introduction to the crowd. It seems like it was pretty funny, but I don't know what they said. It was all in Japanese, and the crowd laughs, and it looks pretty funny. So show's now out. Last time I think on the Dominion review, I said I hated show's music, but now that I hear it, it was easier to hear in the smaller venue and stuff, and it played for longer. I like show's music. It reminds me of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video games on Super Nintendo. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it sounds a lot like that. This is just like a little more intense, but you know what I mean. For anybody that knows those games, but Show definitely comes out looking like he's on hard drugs and he hasn't slept for 3 days, but yet has all the energy in the world at the same time. So definitely playing into his character, or he's just a lunatic. One of the two. The energy. I mean, Ishimori now out. He's the champion, the junior heavyweight champion. Hiromu gets super close to Ishimori while Ishimori's doing his pose in the ring, which was kind of funny. Show then gets on the microphone. He looks all cracked out for sure. I'm not sure what he said, but it made Hiromu and Bushi mad, and the bell rings, and everybody quickly starts brawling outside. So then we get a double team the Bushi in the ring. Bushi's isolated for a little while. Crowd's really into this match more so than all the others. They got the hometown guy. So a lot of people here just to see Hiromu. Show ripped both the LIJ members' shirts off and then starts choking Bushi, which that's Bushi's thing that he usually does to people, but then almost always ends up getting done to him. Anyway, a little bit later, this match goes in the second gear, and pretty good match. Once that happens, Bushi makes a comeback and then gets Hiromu tagged in. Good fire with a quick pace now. Ishimori and Hiromu, the two fighting for the title on Tuesday, are the ones in. Um, we get a double drop kick to both Bullet Club members by Takahashi. That was pretty cool. He ran all the way around the ring like the entirety to get big head start on that drop kick. But then Hiromu gets beat down, but he gets the hot tag to Bushi. My apologies, and Bushi. The crowd's really into him too, so they definitely don't want Bullet Club to win this match. Bushi's getting just as much cheers as Hiromu, and that was pretty cool. Uh, Bushi does some big moves, but the pace of the match slows down a little bit, and while Bushi's beating up Show, and the match threatens to go to third gear every now and then, but it stays in second gear, and not um, being just kind of a smaller show. That's to be expected. There really isn't any matches like almost ever that go in the fourth gear, so to get in the third gear is almost like rarefied air. So a good second gear match here, a good main event. Show battles back, but the comebacks uh, snuffed out by Bushi. Big claps for the hot tag, and eventually the hot tag does get to Hiromu, the hometown hero. So Hiromu's in, but now we see a ref bump. So Show's going to crawl over to the corner now that the referee's down and gets a wrench, but Hiromu doesn't let him use it. Bushi almost botches a dive to the outside through the ropes. Hit the middle rope a little bit, but he maintains enough balance to not botch the move entirely, and Hiromu hits his finisher. Um, I'm not sure which version, but it was the time bomb to get the big win to a big reaction. Bushi comes back in the ring looking mad or hurt or a combination of both on that dive. We get a stare down between Ishimori and um, who are both going to be fighting for the title on Tuesday. And Hiromu then gets the microphone. So every single show, no matter how big or small, whoever wins the main event gets, or even if they don't want to, has to get on the microphone and say something to the crowd to send them home, whether you're a heel or a face. So if you're a heel, you can tell them to like F off. It doesn't matter or whatever. But anyway, Hiromu was always going to win this match because he was always going to get on the microphone to A, talk to his hometown crowd, and B, set up his title match on Tuesday a little bit more. So obviously, I don't know what Hiromu said here. It went on for a little while. It looked like there was at the beginning he thanked the clown that was on announcer. Hiromu did. He thanks the clown. I heard Yujiro get brought up at some point, so I don't know if he was talking about Yujiro Takahashi because he might try to interfere in the title match, or if he was mad at them both having the Takahashi name. So I'm not sure what, but that's kind of funny. Now we get Naito coming down and the rest of Lij who look like they're in their street clothes and just showered from their match before. And Naito then uses Hiromu as a step stool to get into the ring. So humiliating him in front of his own home crowd for whatever reason. And I'm pretty sure they did the 5-man fist bump pose to end the night, but my computer froze at that moment, and I wanted to get this review up as soon as it ended. So if anything else happened after that point of Naito using Hiromu as a step stool, you'll have to look up online. But all in all, pretty good show. I'll be back later today, if not today, tomorrow, to give you the review for New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. And last week was a pretty good show, so I'm looking forward to this week's. And then Monday, we've got the tag title match, and we've also got the two qualifier matches in the semifinals for the AEW All Atlantic title. And then Tuesday, we've got the big junior heavyweight, as well as we'll find out who does qualify for Forbidden Doors. So Forbidden Doors is only 8 days away now, and we don't know who's going to show up, but we're definitely hoping Zack Sabre Jr. versus Brian Danielson. And that's all I got for now. I'm a little bit tired, so I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in.